Hello to everyone. I'm happy to have you all this afternoon with us. Let me start with a few opening remarks and answers to some of the questions we have received, since many of them intersect. And then we will proceed with the questions that you may still have. As you know, there has been a very successful summit of the SCO last week in Samarkand. The Uzbeks succeeded in organizing a comprehensive highest level event with substantial outcomes and the massive participation of all member states, observers and dialogue partners. These outcomes are largely in public domains. Some of you were there on spot, so I won't elaborate on those. However, I would like to thank the hosts for the elaborate organization and congratulate India, who will assume the presidency in the organization next year. There has also been a number of bilateral interactions of the leaders on the margins, including a very cordial meeting between President Putin and Prime Minister Modi. They discussed a substantial agenda, characteristic of a very diversified, special and privileged strategic partnership between our nations, covering the pressing topics of energy and fertilizers supply, logistics and financial transactions, plans in tourism, both ways, and an expanding humanitarian ties and cultural exchanges, certainly the defense cooperation and other areas. Understandably, since the Ukraine conflict grabs the headlines, much of attention was drawn to Prime Minister's remarks to this end. Omitted stands the fact that there is nothing new in India's approach. It has been very consistent from the beginning, and also the long and clear, loud and clear reiteration by the Prime Minister of the commitment to maintain and expand close and trustworthy relations with Russia. He precisely said the unbreakable friendship between our nations. So those Western leaders who quoted the Prime Minister's remarks on Ukraine at the ongoing UN General Assembly, in my view, conveniently pick out parts of that conversation that suit their rhetoric, shying away from what they don't like. There's one more important aspect that is largely ignored in the context of the meeting between the leaders of Russia and India, that Russia's approach doesn't differ from that of India's. We've been advocating the peaceful resolution of the Ukrainian conflict from the very beginning. I've been calling for the peaceful resolution of differences over Ukraine for at least 15 years, very patiently, very consistently, only to face for all this time a brazen, blatant, high-handed denial of our legitimate security concerns. I'm not even speaking about Ukraine. The US and NATO has long established a dedicated springboard against us in its territory. All the claims about the defensive character of the alliance don't change the fact that it presents a very acute and immediate danger to Russia's security. We are designated as an enemy, and that speaks for itself. It would have been a completely irresponsible policy on our part if we had sat idly in the face of such threat. Don't get misguided. I'm not talking about NATO attacking Russia. I point to the dangers of advantage that NATO has strived to achieve and has achieved in many instances over Russia in Europe. Five waves of expansion is a telltale example. If you consider Russia an adversary and encroach on its security, be mindful not somewhere overseas, but on its very borders, expect a retaliation. And we've been very patient in explaining all this to the US and to NATO by diplomacy over all this time. And we were unsuccessful, or rather, the other side has failed to take Russia seriously. The Ukraine conflict is the gravest strategic mistake of the US and NATO, and is of their own creation. It's very easy currently to blame Russia for taking preemptive measures in the ultimate situation when we were left with no other options but to forcefully make it clear to those who do not understand other language but force. A totally different thing is to accept your own responsibility. I said that in many instances before, to accept your own responsibility for the reasons that led to hostilities and the consequences. Now, the latest decisions that we've taken about the partial mobilization are an indication that we're dead set to stand for our security that cannot be compromised. At the same time, we've been ready for the diplomatic solution at all stages of the conflict. And before that, which cannot be said of the Western approach. I don't even speak again about Ukraine. It's completely dependent politically and militarily on the external aid. The rhetoric we hear from the European capitals is that of war. Their actions have been those of total war against Russia, in economy, in on the ground, in information space. Frankly, I don't remember any such outcry and sweeping economic restrictions against the US when it invaded and destroyed Iraq. When was that? In 2003, waging a war over a thousand of miles away under a false pretext. Whenever you recall those events, the complete Western hypocrisy immediately comes out in the open. So the calls for peace, if one is serious and sincere, should be addressed not only to Russia, but to all the parties involved. There have been some questions we've got. Yes, on energy security. I have said that the Energy Corporation issues were discussed during the latest meeting between the leaders of our countries. This has been a topic of our continuous ongoing dialogue. The statistics you probably know. The supplies from Russia have increased manyfold. The supply has gone down lately, but we are talking about long-term supplies, and generally it is a matter of demand and supply. A demand from India and supply from Russia. We are ready towards enhancing this cooperation. And as regards the price cap that the US proposes, I would believe that India is going to pursue its own interest in the situation if such a step gets implemented. What I would like to say about our approach is that we won't trade and cooperate to our detriment. If we consider that the price is unfair and unacceptable to us, we simply, and this was reiterated on several occasions by various officials in Moscow, we would simply stop supplying the oil to the global markets and to those countries that join the US initiative on the price cap. I believe that it would create a very acute shortage of supply in the global markets, and ultimately the price for oil globally would not be reduced, but would sharply go up. So far, well, that is of course a question to the Indian government, but so far we see a very careful approach of the Indian government towards this idea of the price cap, and I'm not at all sure that it would be beneficial to the Indian interests. There were also some questions on the impact of the sanctions and restrictions against us, of the impact on our defense cooperation. Today, if I remember correctly, in the Hindustan Times, I saw an article that the Ukrainian crisis influenced the supplies of the S-400, influenced the construction of the frigates we undertake. We undertake various other aspects of our defense cooperation. I would responsibly respond that this is not the case. The deliveries are going according to the schedule. If there are some delays, they do not have any connections with the Ukraine and the hostilities that are going on there. especially when we speak about the brigades construction. This is a very clear propaganda by those who would like to influence the cooperation that is going on between our countries. We don't have any difficulties in honoring our commitments towards the contracts we've concluded with India. I also read about the semiconductor shortages in our defense production. This is also a complete nonsense. Like we even use the semiconductors from washing machines and dishwashers. A laughable argument, I would put it like that. On north-south corridor, there have been some questions. This was one of the topics the leaders discussed in Samarkand, and this has been a topic of our continuous dialogue. Much focus has been attached to the implementation of this logistics route, which has huge potential, not only for the bilateral trade between us, but for the regional trade and economic cooperation. It reduces the transportation time twofold, from 40 days through the Suez to 20 days. There has been, what is the statistics I have? There has been an increase in volumes over this corridor lately. In March, June this year, the volumes amounted to 27,500 container units. Transportation from Russia to India over this corridor has increased by 25%. Some questions there are on Russia-India-China Corporation, which in this format has been going on for about a quarter century. We believe that this is a very promising mechanism that should be enhanced. We are mindful, of course, about the tensions that India has with China, but believe that this trilateral dialogue would help build an atmosphere of trust between all the participants, and would ultimately be helpful to promote a unified agenda and the interests of all the concerned, in the interests of the Eurasia at large and the world at large. As Dr. Jaishankar has reiterated, the future of Asia lies in the cooperation between India and China, not in confrontation between the two. And we are very supportive of such an approach, and the dialogue between the three would only promote the goodwill and the atmosphere of trust and understanding between all the countries that are there in this trilateral dialogue. Not that we have any contradictions with the Indians, but there are some, as we see, between India and China, and we stand for developing an atmosphere of goodwill and cooperation and trust between India and China. This has been Russia's consistent position towards the relations between the two. There have been some questions on multipolarity. You know, the External Affairs Minister has spoken on many occasions on multilateralism. Russia stands for multilateralism. There is an established mainstream trend in the world politics towards multipolarity. So this can be the only way for a future development of international relations, and the era and the times of bipolar world or unipolar world, they don't have any prospects as we see it in Russia. Such organizations and groupings like the SCO and BRICS are the vivid example towards the establishment of the multipolarity in the world, and the examples of the mainstream multilateral engagements in the world politics. Some questions there were on our bilateral cooperation in the Arctic. Russia welcomes the growing Indian interest in the Arctic. We are engaged in joint scientific research activities, in dialogue on climate change, on all-weather navigation via the Northern Sea route, looking forward to further expanding such cooperation, especially after the first Indian Arctic policy came into force earlier this year. This area is extremely rich in natural and marine resources, and there are plenty of opportunities for expansion of the Indian involvement in the energy sector, in infrastructure, in urban development, in investments, and in other areas. There were also questions on our cooperation in space, particularly in the Gaganyaan project. Space has been one of the strong pillar of the Russia-India partnership. Russia is a recognized leader in space research since the time of Gagarin. Our cooperation has been historic and long-standing in this area. We wholeheartedly welcome the Indian achievements in the peaceful space in its peaceful space program. The cooperation is quite comprehensive, covers plenty of areas, including the scientific research, navigation technologies, dialogue on cryogenic engines, the Gaganyaan project I mentioned already, other programs related to exploration of the moon, the Mars and Venus, the study of the sun, the training of the Indian astronauts, Gaganauts. There is a special name for that. The training has been completed in Russia in 2021, and we also support India in the development of the specialized space suits for the future travelers to the orbit. So let me probably stop at that, and let's proceed with your questions if you have any.
Yes, please. Huma Siddiq, Financial Express. Please, floor is yours.
Yeah, good morning, Excellency. My name is Huma Siddiqui. So I have two questions. One, which is the other country where BrahMos is going to be exported? And the second one is, what is the status of the K-226 helicopters? It has been delayed for a long time. Any forward movement on that? And when will the production of AK-203 start?
Now, as I say, if there is any delay in our joint projects in defense, they do not have any connection with the Ukraine conflict. This should be very clear. There is no delay in AK-203 manufacturing and the start of production of those rifles in India. There, you mentioned helicopters, correct?
Yes.
I don't know about any delays in helicopter deliveries. There have been reports about a half a year delay in the frigates construction, but again, this is a technical delay connected with the manufacturing process on the spot. There is no shortage of whatsoever, if one may like to draw any connections with the Ukrainian conflict and our supplies and necessities as regards of that. I cannot confirm to you any serious impact of on our defense cooperation because of the current situation in Europe. You started with one question which I didn't.
Yeah, that was on BrahMos, which would be the other country where
Okay.
this missile could be exported.
Yeah, BrahMos has been an exemplary success of our joint work in defense. As you know, there is interest expressed by various countries to buy those missiles. A very elaborate and successful product of our joint cooperation. The Philippines, as far as I know, are at the forefront of the acquisitions according to my information, it is going on schedule.
Next question. Mr. Sidhan Sibal from WION, please, welcome.
Hi, sir. I'm Siddhant from WION. My question to you is, because you pointed out to India and China conflict, how Russia is playing a role perhaps to pacify the situation on the ground, given the fact that we know that Russia has close relationship with both Beijing and New Delhi. So any role played by Moscow in terms of diffusing the situation, especially at the border?
Which situation on the Chinese border?
Yes, sir. Correct, sir. India-China border.
You know, we've been very consistent on that. This is a bilateral matter between India and China. We do not want to get involved in the resolution of the bilateral disputes between the two countries. We only encourage the two to find a quick and peaceful resolutions to the border disputes. Unlike some other countries who, in our view, only encourage the suspicions of India towards China and of China towards India against the territorial disputes you have between the two. We do not support such an attitude and such a rhetoric. On our part, we, as I say, consistently call on the peaceful resolution and stand for those disputes to be resolved solely between the two, bilaterally between India and China, to the benefit of the both sides and the parties. That has been very consistent on our part, and we maintain this position. As of now, we don't see any other role in this dialogue between India and China.
Thank you. Next question, Mr. Dipanjan, Economic Times, please.
Good afternoon, Ambassador. Dipanjan here.
Hello.
How are you?
How are you?
Good. Could you elaborate a bit on the President Putin's meeting with Prime Minister in Samarkand in terms of the the areas of energy, fertilizer, coal, and other economic projects in terms of supply chains and investments in India and the rupee-ruble trade?
I would love to elaborate, but I'm not in a position to disclose the details in full. I can only confirm that there has been a very comprehensive discussion on all these issues we mentioned, on energy supplies and fertilizer supplies. I can give you the statistics as regards to the fertilizers. Which increased the supplies from Russia to India have increased by more than 3% lately. we are ready to provide more supplies in fertilizer. We know India is in the requirement of this product, these products. The president mentioned that about 300,000 tons of Russian fertilizers got stuck in European ports. And those volumes we are ready to provide to various developing countries free of charge. But still, the European countries don't release those amounts from their ports, and have not responded to this proposal of the Russian president, which is also very indicative of their attitude towards various issues pertaining to the food security worldwide and the energy security worldwide. The president and the prime minister did indeed discuss other bilateral topics. We know, and it was reported, the relaxation of the visa regime between the two countries was discussed. The prospects of having the exchange years of both countries in 2024 that can be not only a cultural event, but a much more comprehensive one. So many aspects of the bilateral cooperation were discussed, but I repeat that I cannot disclose all the details which have not been publicized yet by the Russian and the Indian side.
Thank you. Mr. Akhilesh Suman, Sansad TV.
Okay, thank you. Excellency, good afternoon. This is Akhilesh Suman from Sansad TV. It's a Parliament of India's related channel. I had one question and one supplementary. Everyone is amazed at how this war will end. Do you have any roadmap? What do you want to do at the end? And are you talking to any country, including India, on this roadmap? And supplementary is that yesterday, the Mexican ambassador in Mexican foreign minister actually in the United Nations Security Council has proposed that Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Pope Francis, and Secretary General should be in a committee, in a peace committee, who can negotiate the terms of ending the war. So what is your reaction to it? Do you consider any such proposal to be accepted by Russia? Thank you.
What roadmap you mean?
Any roadmap that how Russia-Ukraine war will end? When will you declare that yes, this is the end of the war?
This is a very difficult question. As I say, we are prepared to cease the hostilities as soon as possible. This is precisely what what President Putin has said to Prime Minister Modi in Samarkand. But when this can happen is really a hard question. Certainly, I don't know when an agreement on stopping the hostilities can be achieved. So far, contrary to our position, the other side is speaking about continuing the military actions till the complete victory of the Ukrainian side. I think it should be very clear to the whole world that it cannot be achieved objectively speaking. We cannot cannot realistically speak at this juncture or at any future juncture about the complete victory of Ukraine on the battlefield. That is absolutely unrealistic. And on the other part, we don't have any plans to occupy or to conquer the Ukrainian territories. This is not the plan. This is not our aim. We only strive to secure and to secure our interest in the overall security situation in Europe. That's it. There have been atrocities by the Ukrainian government against the Russian-speaking population in the East. This is also a part of the conflict. But again, now with their intention, those republics of Donbass and the intentions of some other regions to hold referendums, that is their business. What do they want to do with their self-determination and their intentions to stay with Ukraine or not to stay with Ukraine? But again, we are hoping that the solution would be found as soon as possible, and we are ready for stopping the hostilities at any moment, provided that there is a displaying of will by the Ukrainians and by those forces that support them. As of now, we see only an escalation. There has been an escalation and the continuation of the conflict. The partial mobilization that we announced is also indicative of this escalation, and it is a deplorable development. But we also stand to stop the hostilities and to sit and negotiate as soon as possible, provided the other party is ready. But as of now, it doesn't show any readiness towards this. As far as the Mexican proposal is concerned, frankly, this is not a question to us, and I don't know about the Indian reaction towards this proposal, but by the Mexican side. That would be interesting to know about the Indian attitude towards this. We hear about and we know about such an idea, but I cannot in any way comment on that. That's the proposal by the Mexicans to the Indians, and so far, as I say, there is there is no Indian attitude towards this idea. At least I don't know about any.
Next question, please. Manu Pabi, you're welcome.
Hello, Ambassador. This is Manu Pabi here. So I just want to ask you regarding the recent reports of supplies by Pakistan of ammunition to Ukraine. Has Russia taken up the issue? Reactions and comments on that, please.
Yes, we've seen such reports, and we take those very seriously. I don't know whether there was any conversation between us and the Pakistanis on that. But if such reports or not reports, but if such facts and such deliveries have taken place, it would have a very negative effect towards our ties and relations with Pakistan. That is obvious. That is obvious. But as far as I know, and as of now, there have been such unconfirmed reports, but I don't know about the facts that there are to confirm such instances. If there is a confirmation of those, that would have an impact on our relations with Pakistan. There is no doubt about that.
Next question, Rohit Srivastava, please, welcome.
Hello, Ambassador. I would like to know, as this year has been very bad for agriculture because of severe droughts as well as severe deluge in certain part of the world, there is a lot of talk that there will be a serious supply issues in the food market in the next 6 months or a year. As a major exporter of food grains, Russia as well as India, two countries would have to take up a lot of pressure of that. How is Russia planning to do this?
Russia has been has always been a very reliable and one of the major suppliers of food grain to the global markets. We are now, as you know, in the process of facilitating the exports of Ukrainian grain to the markets through Turkey. There is a trilateral mechanism and a group working on spot in Istanbul. Russia is ready to provide about 30 million tons of wheat this year to the global markets. It will be 50 million tons next year. Those cargo ships that go from Ukraine now through Turkey to the global markets. So far, more than 120 cargo ships have left the Ukrainian ports. That would constitute about 3 million tons of grain. But I would also like to point out that only 4.5% of those grain has reached the poorest countries. The rest has been delivered to Europe and to the developed countries. And if you remember, they were speaking about the impact of the Ukrainian crisis on the food situation in the developing world. They were accusing us of creating a crisis, a food crisis in the poor countries because of lack of supplies from Ukraine. And now that the supplies have started, the bulk of it, the overwhelming majority of supplies go to the developed countries, to Europe in the first place. That's also a very telltale indication of the hypocrisy that they display. There are many instances of such an attitude in various areas.
Next question from New Indian, Yeshi Shelley, please welcome.
Good afternoon, Ambassador. This is Yeshi Seli from the New Indian Express. I would like to know how many countries in Europe continue to take gas from Russia. And secondly, is there anything you'd like to say on the rupee-ruble trade? There have been talks on, new exchange mechanism. If you could update us on that, please.
I don't have the precise number of how many there are still acquiring Russian oil, but they buy Russian oil very, very much. They speak about banning Russian oil, but themselves are bypassing their own restrictions through traders, through other not so evident mechanisms, trying to impose restrictions on other countries, but allowing themselves to buy Russian oil. This is also a fact that can be checked very easily through the open sources. The same goes to the supplies and the buying of Russian gas by the European countries. There are exemptions from sanctions for themselves, but not for the rest of the world. As far as the rupee-ruble mechanism is concerned, we have had such a mechanism for at least 2014 for our defense cooperation. We are now expanding this mechanism to cover the whole of our trade. A dialogue is very professional, very comprehensive, very active. The the volumes of trade in the national currencies is continuously increasing. We explore and utilize all the routes and ways, not only the national currencies. We continue to trade in reserve currencies. We use the currencies of third countries, but the bilateral ruble mechanism is the mainstream route, and we aim to make it an all-embracing financial mechanism for our bilateral trade. We see that India is also interested in doing trade in national currencies, not only with us but with other countries as well. That's a very I would say a very noteworthy trend recently in the financial sphere, indicative of the side effect of those just restrictions that the US wishes to impose on various countries in the world. Ultimately, they would end with the decrease of the dollar reputation as a reserve currency worldwide. Of course, this is not a tomorrow's prospect, but the long-term trend is this one, and it would ultimately be to the detriment to the US interests that they so unthoughtfully pursue.
Next question from print, Ms. Nayanima Basu, please.
Thank you so much, Dimitri. Thank you, Ambassador, for doing this. Good afternoon. Just wanted to understand from you, what do you feel of some of the comments that India is making of late, where Prime Minister Modi talked about the fact that this is not an era of war. And also yesterday at the UNSC, we saw what External Affairs Minister talked about, the concerns regarding the Ukraine conflict. So do you think India is now more openly and more publicly condemning this war? What are your thoughts on that? Thank you so much.
I think India is displaying its serious concern with the Ukrainian conflict. And we've been displaying the same. We've been very concerned with the Ukrainian conflict. The Russian mobilization we announced is also an indication that we that our concern with the conflict is growing. The remarks by the Prime Minister and the External Affairs Minister, they points to the worries of India about this conflict, which has a global implication, obviously. But again, it came public, but it was not anything new in our dialogue, and in the Indian position from the very beginning. India has been very consistent towards peaceful resolution of this and other conflicts. But again, as I pointed out in my opening remarks, we are the party to this conflict, but we did not create it. We reacted to the provocations that NATO and the US initiated and maintained, and those peaceful calls towards the end of it should be addressed not only to us, but to the other party, and the other party is not only Ukraine, not so much Ukraine, but the NATO and the US as the dictator in NATO.
Thank you very much. Next question from Mr. Sridhar Kumaraswamy, please.
Sir, can you hear me? Good afternoon, sir. Can you hear me? This is Sridhar here. Yeah. Sir, my question is actually regarding the referendum that you said take place in certain regions of eastern and southern Ukraine. You said that it is up to those people to pursue their quest for self-determination. My question is regarding India's response. I think because India has been consistently talking about respecting the territorial integrity of nations. So if would you expect if these regions want to merge with Russia, would you expect India to sort of recognize it? Because my understanding is that even the 2014 merger of Crimea has not been recognized by India so far. So would that, if India does not endorse that, would it be a sort of a strain in ties? That is one thing. And the second is a sort of a supplementary to what Nainima asked about PM Modi's comments. It was portrayed by the Western media as a rebuke by PM Modi to President Putin. And also, we have seen reports about Russian men who are eligible to serve in the military. They are fleeing to Armenia to escape conscription, compulsory conscription. So this anti-war sentiment, is it also of worry to Russia, and this Western narrative that it was a rebuke by PM Modi to President Putin? So I would like to know your views on these two questions. So thank you so much.
Yes, sure. As regards the recognition of the decisions of those republics whenever they hold the referenda, I don't want to speculate on that. Let's first wait and see what is going to happen. I would only say at this moment of time that it would be their own decision what they are willing to do, or whether they are aspiring for. Those who in advance deny and don't allow those people in those republics to have their own opinion and to have and to do the expression of their own aspirations, only indicate about the double standards that we've been speaking about. In other instances, like in Kosovo or in the Malvinas, if I'm not mistaken, people are entitled to have the expression of their choice, but not in those areas that have been out of the Western space, so to say. That's not a very consistent and a very just approach to various parts of the world. I would come again to the remarks I made in the beginning. You know, the Western leaders conveniently pick out those words of the Prime Minister that suit their rhetoric, presenting these words as a rebuke to the Russian president, and forgetting and omitting the other words of the Prime Minister, who was saying about the unshakable friendship, about the commitment to continue our close relations. And this is one part of the answer. The other part is that we ourselves we don't have any contradiction with the Indian approach towards this. We ourselves stand for a peaceful resolution of this conflict. We've been reiterating and confirming this all along. The other party is speaking, is talking the war and acting the war. We respond. Yes, we crossed the border of Ukraine, but that was a retaliation, a preemptive action towards a totally unacceptable, as a countering of the totally unacceptable, from our security point of view, unacceptable actions of the NATO countries. They have, you know, there are. It's a fact. There are numerous advisors in the Western advisors, NATO advisors in the government of Ukraine. There are instructors, NATO instructors on the ground. There is NATO infrastructure in Ukraine established before the conflict. It's not that they prepared to attack Russia. Maybe they were preparing, but I don't know about that. I'm speaking about the projection of force towards Russia, about putting us into disadvantage since they consider us an enemy. So this was a retaliation and unnecessary and unescapable, very sad decision on our part, but very much inevitable. And lastly, what was the last question you wanted me to answer?
So I basically about the first part was about you know, what happens if India does not endorse the breakaway of these republics from Ukraine, because India has always been advocating supporting the territorial integrity. So will it affect, because from what I understand, we have not even recognized the 2014 merger of Crimea into Russia. So what happens? Would you as two time-tested friends, you have supported us on many issues, including Kashmir. Would you expect that India also shows a similar reciprocity or similar sort of understanding?
You know, that would be a completely sovereign Indian decision, whatever whatever the Indians decide. We are not going to somehow press India to make any decisions to this effect. But again, nobody's accessing Russia so far. This is a hypothetical situation which I don't want to comment on at this moment. But if it happens, it would be a completely sovereign Indian decision, and I don't foresee any influence by this decision on our bilateral relations.
Thank you, sir.
Next question, please, Mr. Kalol Khatarachirji from Hindu.
No, I think, thank you so much. My question was asked by Sridhar, because I also wanted to raise the same issue of the referendums that are being held from today onwards for the next 5 days in those 4 republics.
If your question asked, we can move on, and please welcome Mr. Sukhajit Roy.
Good afternoon, Ambassador Alipov. Thank you so much for doing this. I just had one question. Has India, at the level of Prime Minister Modi or through diplomatic channels, extended an offer of mediation in this conflict? And if it were to happen, what would be Russia's response? Thank you.
I don't know about any such proposals towards us, or even about any such intentions on the Indian part, and I would certainly not don't want to again hypothetically to comment on a hypothetical situation. What would be our reaction towards a possible Indian mediation? We are open to all the goodwill intentions and goodwill proposals towards ending the conflict as soon as possible. That is the holistic approach of the Russian Federation. But I don't know about any such proposals or intentions from the Indian side.
Thank you. Next question, please, Mr. Rizal Hassan Laskar.
Ambassador, thank you for doing this. I have just one quick question. Do we have an update on the annual India-Russia summit? Thank you.
We are in dialogue on various bilateral contacts that are in pipeline for the end of this year and for the next year. I'm not in a position, sorry, to disclose you the details of this dialogue. We are discussing the number of contacts that a huge number, I would say, that are going to happen in near future, by the end of this year and next year as well.
Dear friends, maybe we should step by step end our session. Maybe we have a chance for one more question. From Devasmita Maulik, please.
Greetings, Ambassador, and thank you indeed for this opportunity to interact. So first question, the traditional areas of trade between Russia and India have been hydrocarbons, nuclear power, coal, fertilizer, mineral, metallurgy, IT, pharmaceuticals. To further intensify our trade and economic cooperation, which new areas can be explored? And if I may ask a second question that highlights a problem of our business community, offering product samples to prospective customers is a key necessity in business. Since courier services like DHL, FedEx are no longer operational between Russia and India, sample items can be sent now only through EMS post, but the Russian system asks for an exhaustive list of documents, making it complicated and time consuming. How can this be made more efficient? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Denis, for this last question of yours. We'll take it up. Frankly, I'm not prepared to answer that, but it certainly needs attention, and we'll pay attention to this particular problem, and I'm absolutely positive that about that we will find a solution to this technical issue of exchanging samples between our countries by postal services that are available. This issue should be addressed definitely. But as regards the areas which can be explored in our trade and economic relations, there are many. We've been receiving literally hundreds of proposals and requests daily from our side towards the Indian partners, from the Indian companies towards the potential Russian partners in various spheres, not only in simple trade and in exporting various commodities, but in expanding investments and joint work in production, in various infrastructure projects, in high-tech area, including in railways, for example, in urban infrastructure development, in various projects in fintech, in new information technology intensive, if I may put it like that, in many such sectors of industry. I don't want. I don't have the list before me, but I can go through it for quite some time. Naming various proposals in various areas. As I say, we're receiving hundreds of such ideas and proposals, and precise, very particular proposals, and in various spheres from both sides, both ways. This crisis situation obviously not only creates problems, but provides a lot of opportunities. This is evident. This is evident.
Maybe we have time for one more last question, please, Your Excellency. It's from Maha Siddiq and NDTV.
Ambassador, this is Maha Siddiqui from NDTV. I wanted to know if Russia is offering India any further discount on purchase of oil from Russia. Why has there been a dip in the purchase over the last few weeks? Because we saw an increase since April.
Yeah, you're correct, but I'm not privy to commercial negotiations on oil supplies. I don't know what offers do we make, or what discounts do we offer and propose. Probably there are some proposals to this end. As I say, we are talking and interested to have with India to have long-term contracts and agreements on oil supplies, and those long-term agreements presuppose a very competitive price. But sorry, I cannot share with you any further and particular details, since I'm not into those commercial negotiations.
Well, we have some more requests for urgent. Do we have some time, or we can close the session?
What time is it?
It's
okay. Let's one more question, please.
News X. Megha Sharma, News X. Megha Sharma, please.
Hi, good afternoon, His Excellency. My question to you being with India permanent membership request that has yet again been raised in the sidelines of the UNGA by our External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. How crucial does Russia's role now become even further in being able to persuade China in removing the veto against India for the P5 membership, even as there has been pressure that has been mounting from the United States of America and the allies to remove Russia itself from P5?
If I get you correctly, to remove pressure from the P5 is an absolutely improbable and impossible, would be an impossible undertaking and an effort. That is simply not possible. As far as India's membership in the Expanded Security Council is concerned, we are strongly in support of India's full membership in the Expanded Security Council of the United Nations. This has been our long-standing, consistent position. We have been very vocal about that. So we stand for India's membership in the Security Council. There cannot be any other reproach towards this. There is a very wide support towards the Indian membership worldwide. We are hoping that the reform and the expansion, the reform of the UN and the expansion of the Security Council would happen sooner than later. This is a very complicated and comprehensive process. But as regards of India, there cannot be any other outcome of the forthcoming expansion of the Security Council without India. It goes without saying.